business and restructure and like examine their faults and like what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, what they can do better.
Perfect. Yeah, you got it. When I was in school, I didn't know what a consultant was. I never imagined I would be a consultant. But it's a way to use your professional knowledge and experience to give advice to other businesses or organizations. So to give a little more intro about what I specifically do on a day-to-day basis, I wanted to ask if anyone lives in a house. Okay, so do any of you pay a utility bill? Yeah. Okay, so we'll pick on you. So do you get a bill from East Bay Municipal Utilities District?
I don't think so.
No. Does anybody get an EB-Bud bill? You, okay. What is on your bill? When you open up your bill, what's on that piece of paper?
My friend always pays the bill.
Okay. So typically it has your water. It's a water bill, and it's usually a sewer bill. Usually it's a water meter fee. And let's make it up that it's $50. And there's also a charge for how much water you use, right? So we'll say usage fees. Usually that's like, make something up, maybe it's $1.25 per gallon. That's how much you use throughout the month, and then they total it up, make you pay. So do you ever wonder who comes up with this? Who decides it's this much versus this much? Who decided that you should pay a meter fee and a volume fee? This guy. So if anyone's an economist, this is your sunk costs of running a utility. So it's the pipes in the ground, the treatment plant. This usage fees, that's the marginal cost of delivering water to the customer. So exciting, exciting world of municipal utility rates and finance. So consulting is a professional service. I imagine a lot of the folks who come and speak to you are probably product-based companies. So like boba guys, they're selling you a boba to take home. Last week, Christian talked about Hack Right Academy. So that was a coding boot camp. So the product he's selling you is tuition, your tuition, your certification at the end of the class. So consulting is a professional service. So it's not a product that the customer takes home. It's my knowledge and experience and my advice to them, to the client, right? So in this case, my client is local government. So it can be city, county. Does anyone else know any local governments? Anybody in civics or politics? Okay. You guys are making it tough for me. So municipal utility districts, so EB-MUD, East Bay Municipal Utility District. That is a local government. They need services. They need talented people to give them advice. There's all kinds of governments out there. There's funeral districts that run cemeteries. There's fire districts, water and sewer districts, landscape and lighting districts. So they clean up like graffiti and manage streetlights. There's a wide range of different businesses and different organizations out there, not just traditional products or services. I would consider government as another avenue to sell professional services. So the most classic professional service kind of company is a consultant, right? So we bill on a $1 per hour basis for the time and then any materials, so like printing or special reports that I have to buy to give advice. Does anyone know any other professional services type companies? Has anyone hired a lawyer ever? No. A lot of no's. Okay, so they'll bill you on a $1 per hour basis, right? And they'll tally up all the hours they spent looking into your case and then send you a bill. So it's kind of the same for consultants. At the end of the month, I look at all the hours that I spent on that client. Did I go to any meetings with them? Did I produce a report? And then I write that up in an invoice and submit it. So lawyers are the classic. I don't know if anyone is doing your own taxes, working with accountants. Okay, that's a professional service. You're paying for that person's expertise, and they're billing you by the hour. And I suspect this room might be professional service providers themselves. Is anyone a tutor? Tutor, okay. How do you find your clients, and how do you charge your clients?
I find my clients through my mom's stay-at-home mom network, and I tutor middle school kids, and then basically every year I usually charge like $5 more. So I've worked up to like $40 an hour.
So it's hourly?
Yeah,
right?
hourly.
And do you bill once a month, every few weeks?
Every session, however long.
Okay, so we do have some professional services folks in the room, and you can spin that off into a business if you wanted to. I wanted to ask if anyone's a graphic designer. That's another one where the person is paying for your artistic expression, your expertise of Photoshop, Illustrator, whatever it is. Is no one a graphic designer? I was hoping to meet one. I do need a graphic designer myself. Okay. So I also wanted to talk about government and some advantages and disadvantages of working for local government. So this is the business school. We're probably thinking mostly just of private sector work, maybe business to business services, business to the public type of services. But kind of as I mentioned earlier, there are cities, counties, special districts, and they need products and they need services. And the best part about government work is I don't necessarily have to go to them to get hired, they come to me. Governments have to advertise, to request for proposals. Hey, we need a consultant to do our study. They widely distribute that advertisement. So it's not quite this, hunting down customers. It's widely advertised where the customers are. And then it's government, so it's a city. I mean, it's not as opaque where they are, how big they are, what departments they have, what types of services they have. It's much more true. So just wanted to kind of mention that because I think in business school we focus so much on private enterprises, whereas the government is also a big purchaser of both goods and services. So there are disadvantages. It's not all rainbows and sunshine. The biggest disadvantage is that at the end of the day I have to face the public. So say I'm I did a financial plan and this fee needs to go up to $100 because the treatment plant needs to be totally rehauled. So then I have to stand up in a public meeting at city council, right, and face all these angry ratepayers who tell me I want a fixed income. I can't afford this. One city, they sent the Girl Scouts after me. The Girl Scouts got up and said, we're Girl Scout troops, 101, and we did a merit badge about water conservation. And we know that everyone in this city is already conserving water, and you're penalizing them by raising their rates. They already conserve, that's not fair. But that's government. You're accountable to the people. Every submittal, every piece of work that I hand over to the city manager, that goes in a report and the public can read it. Yes?
What did you say to them?
You just say it's cost of service based. Would you rather the treatment plant fall apart and sewage leak into the lake? A lot of agencies are facing that. If they don't repair their treatment plants, you'll have sewage leaking everywhere. When you turn on your tap at home, do you want water to come out? And if the rates don't go up and we can't find new sources of water, your tap doesn't turn on. So we try to be as compassionate as we can to folks, but we have the reality of what it costs to run a utility. We have to try and explain that as clearly as we can. So another disadvantage of government work is the timelines are so long. I feel like industry is a little better about kind of project deliverables and getting things done pretty quickly. Government work can drag on and on and on. I have a lot of projects that last about 18 months. The typical is maybe 6 to 9 months. So just as a small business owner, making sure I can have the work coming in a steady fashion and get paid in a steady fashion, and then have my client say, no, we don't need that for another month. Well, gave you the time, I blanked out my schedule to give you that time, and now you're saying no, oh, some other issue at city council is a bigger issue than utilities right now, so, come back in another month. So that's a challenge. And then probably the biggest thing I wanted to mention is lawsuits. So, like you mentioned, people are saying, why are those costs going up? What's your justification? And they read everything you do. So there's the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. They specifically go around to different cities and look at these reports and pick out all the things that are wrong and then sue cities over it. And then I'm supposed to be their expert, right? So if they get sued and they win, it was because I did something wrong. So no pressure, right? And because of that, the insurance requirements are pretty high for government consultants. That was a big cost that my business partner and I faced that we weren't expecting. So we have general liability, which pretty much every business will have that. And then consultants will have professional liability. So if my expertise is faulty, it covers losing a lawsuit because of maybe a mistake that I made. So just war stories from the front. I did have a competing firm misestimate the revenues from a utility by half. So, when I put this up here, I kind of wrote this up as if it would be a monthly bill that someone was paying. But a lot of utilities bill bi-monthly, so it's every 2 months. So this competitor company did this math, assuming it was coming in every month, and it was coming in every 2 months. So they were off by half. So it was like $6 million that the city did not have because their consultant messed up. Yeah. So I don't want to go to court and say, Allison, pay up $6 million because you messed this math up, right? Do you have a question here?
Yeah, would something as big as that be covered by the insurance that you mentioned?
Probably not all of it. So in that case, the city did try to settle with their consultant, and that consultant just said, screw you, we think we're right. Which, how are you right when it's off by 50%? But I think if they would have settled, it would have been under their insurance cap and it would have gone away. But they really wanted to fight over it. So. And the problem with all of this is, as a consultant, it's really your professional reputation to get hired each time. And a lot of agencies will ask you, have you ever been sued? And have you ever lost a lawsuit? And then have you ever been fired by a city? So it really is your professional knowledge and expertise on the line, that your math is correct, that you know what you're doing, and that you're up to date with all regulations and court cases, that you really know what you're doing. So,
How was that establishing your reputation in the beginning when you lived in really have?
yeah, so professional services are probably hard for college students. So what I did was I trained under some more senior consultants for about 10 years, and then felt like I had enough on my resume and was able to get a few professional certifications. That was enough to be able to sell myself as an expert in this field. Another kind of thing I'm proud of is I've actually testified as an expert witness. So a group of cities got together and said, PG&E, you're charging too much for electric rates for street lights. Like, how esoteric is that? I mean, does anybody think about, well, street lights, that's an important issue. And not just the lamps themselves, the electricity going to them, and then what everybody pays. I mean, this is like esoteric stuff, right? And nobody was doing it, and I was like, I'll do it. So then I got to go to the Public Utilities Commission. So they're at Van Ness in San Francisco at Civic Center. And it was a judge, and I had to raise my hand and to say what my professional qualifications were. And from now on, I get to say that I'm an expert witness. So if you are interested in consulting, a good way to do it is to train under somebody who you admire, who's has a good reputation in the field. And anytime you can be a co-author on anything they do, that gets your resume revved up, right? So I was a co-author on my mentor's testimony at the Public Utilities Commission a few cycles, and then eventually he wanted to retire, and he said, "You're ready, you offer it by yourself." So then I had the qualifications at that point because I could point to these other assignments that I had done. So find a good mentor, and we'll talk about mentorship in a little bit because that was a big help for me. Okay. Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
When you worked under another consultant, did they, like, is it kind of awkward when you leave them to start your own thing?
Yeah, so my mentor that I worked under most frequently, he retired, so that wasn't awkward. And he actually encouraged me to start my own business. So he retired. The remaining partners at the place I was working, I wasn't getting along with, and then I rage quit and Jerry McGuire. And, and Tseng, so I'm Lechowicz and my partner is Tseng. She had me at Hello, and the two of us, defected, and we snatched up as many clients as we could. We did not have non-compete agreements. There was none of that, right? That can get tricky. And we were able to pull some clients with us when we left.
Did she work there too?
Yeah, we worked together for 7 years. Our story. So we were unhappy with the way things were going at the company. We knew that we were doing all the work, basically. We could bring in our own clients. We could do all the math. We could present to the client at the end, present the final report. So we were able to start and finish. We're like, we're running this company. Why aren't we getting the rewards of this? Let's split. Then what, right? So does anybody actually know what happens then? What do you actually do to start a business?
Get the license.
I'm sorry?
You have to register with the government?
Yes. Yes. Okay, so then we get to this part. Corporation, LLC, partnership, sole proprietorship. So does anybody know what these mean? Because I didn't. So Tseng and I said we're going to start a business. Our business has to be one of these. Yeah, shrug. So we met with a lawyer to explain what all of these are, because when you do your filing with the state to officially become a business, you have to select one of these, right? So we said, well, there's two of us. We're not a sole proprietorship. A partnership didn't quite have all the insurance coverage, so we didn't want, if we mess up the math, we didn't want someone then being able to sue me personally and then go after my house and my car and my savings and all that. So we wanted to make sure our business structure was such that we had that protection from litigation. Right. So we did an LLC. We're 50-50, partners in the LLC. And that gave us limited liability. It's right in the name. So that was convenient. We elected not to do a corporation. We found that a corporation was a little more structured. You had to have monthly board meetings, and you had to write notes about what you talked about in the board meeting, and someone had to be a secretary of the board. But I've heard that the corporation is a little more friendly if you want to bring on a lot of partners, and if you want to go for funding, cycles of funding from outside, venture capitalists or whatever. So that's kind of our thought process in a nutshell. Please talk to your lawyer, and don't take my word for it, but just some considerations, because we didn't know what we were doing. We're we can do that math, we can't do this math. Yes.
What was the benefits of an LLC over an LLP?
Don't know. I haven't heard of an LLP.
Okay.
What is an LLP?
I was pretty sure it was limited liability partnership, and it sounded like a mix, but maybe it doesn't exist.
I don't know. No, maybe it's do you know more than me? So, we're not lawyers when we want to start a business. This stuff is tricky. Talk to a real lawyer. Okay, so once you figure out what structure your business is going to take, you have to decide on your business name. So we picked our last names. That's pretty common in our field. A lot of our competitor firms, they just do their names and then they abbreviate. So we usually go by L&T rather than Lechowicz Tseng, because no one can say it or spell it. And that's up to you. We kind of thought, do we want to have municipal utility consulting or some generic thing, public finance advisors. And it just wasn't our style. I had, worked for other people for like 10 years and got no credit for the work that I did. And like, I want my name on this thing. So that felt empowering to me. But oh, what do you put as your business address? Anybody thought about that?
P.O. Box.
Delaware Corp. That's one idea. Someone said P.O. Box.
Yeah, P.O. Box.
So that's what we did. There were some problems with that. A lot of the filings with the state of California, you have to put a physical address. So even though we put, the P.O. Box on everything we possibly could, all these filings still come to my home address. And if anyone's like searching my business, like on these online databases, new businesses, taxes filed in California for businesses, it still comes up with my apartment. So just warning you, the P.O. Box always seems like such a good idea, and then once you do it, you find out that it doesn't quite work as well as you think.
What does your day-to-day look like then if you work out of your home?
Oh, sure. So usually it's a mix of Excel-based work, so doing a model, like a financial spreadsheet. And then usually I have to take my tables from my model and paste it into a Word document, and then write up, explaining this math, right? So write up, the cost-based principles that we're using to determine the split between the fees, usually a background of the agency, why the study is needed. Usually have a few phone calls checking with the client. Hey, did you get my data request? Did you look at whatever? Did that lawyer call you back? So it's a mix of Excel, Word, and then phone calls. And then it's fun too. We get to travel around the different cities and meet them in person and then get yelled at by the angry people at the meetings. So, it's consulting. It's not terribly glamorous, but you do have pride in your expertise or what they're hiring. I do have a lot of pride in that.
So what did you end up putting your production to your business?
Oh, that's a good, yeah, to close the circle on that question. I think there are services where it's not the official P.O. box, so P.O. is post office box. It's like a FedEx box. For all intents and purposes, it's the same idea, but it counts as like a physical address. I think there are services that you just pay for. Yeah. Okay, so then you mentioned you have to file with the state of California. That takes a while. I thought like, man, we're ready to start our business. We've got our P.O. box, we've got our name, we're an LLC, we're filing that. It takes a while. you wait, like 6 weeks. And the key from that is you get a tax ID. And you need that for all your other filings. So to actually get the business license from, I guess, City of Berkeley, most people will probably do City of Berkeley. I did Oakland, where I live. You need that tax ID number. So I thought like, oh, we can just do all these filings at once and we're ready to go. And it's like the staggering process. Okay, we got this. And now we have to take that piece of paper to the next thing. It was like kind of arduous, right? The other thing that came about was in Oakland, you have to have a permit to work out of your own house. Yeah. So my husband works from home 1 day a week on the computer. Okay, no problem, because he's technically employed by someone else whose address is somewhere else, right? If you are a home-based business, you have to get a permit for that. You have to wait in line at City Hall. You have to talk to planning and building. They have to see your business license. And actually, our apartment, the first name on the deed or whatever is my husband. So they said, well, you can't have a home business because this is under somebody else. And I had a fight with them for quite a while. No, we're both on the deed. We're both on the deed. I don't own it too. Yeah, you would think it was so easy. Like, you're just on your computer in one room of your house all day. Do you need a permit for that? Apparently you do. Surprise. That was news to me. Okay, so once you file with the state of California, you can go and get your business license from City of Berkeley or Oakland or wherever. What's the next step after that? Get customers, get gas? So the other part of this kind of legal relationship with your business partner, if you have one, is an operating agreement. So you and your partner, right? How do you decide who gets paid what? So some companies do 50-50. We both own the business 50-50, we both get paid 50-50. So what if I bring in tons of clients and my partner wants to go away for the summer? It's still fair to do 50-50, right? So these are things, you have to think about when you're signing those documents with your lawyer. So we did the eat what you kill method. So our pay is proportional to the clients we bring in, the hours that we bill. And I guess a lot of lawyers, that's pretty common, eat what you kill. But when you're just, spitballing with a friend in a cafe about a business you're going to start, you never think about this stuff, right? Like, whose address are we going to put on the filing? Who gets paid what? Who's going to be in charge of this or that? There's so many little details that you kind of, have to work through as you go along. And then a few other things I just wanted to mention. Get your domain locked away pretty quick. I needed an email right away to start talking to clients, and so I just guessed at one we might want to use, and my business partner axed that one. So now I have multiple domains that I don't really use, but some people email me at that domain when we're really using this other one. And then you guys are really lucky. Google Voice, man. Kind of talking with older folks who have started businesses, signing up for a landline where they call you. Google Voice. You get a whole nother phone number. You can put your business voicemail on that, and then it's totally separate from your personal accounts. So it just seems more professional, even though it's just the same phone, right? Oh, okay. So let's talk numbers. What do you think it costs to start a business? So we are financial consultants. You asked what a typical day is like, so we're just on our computers typing away each day. I have a little printer, right? We don't have any, heavy equipment. Our cars are not under the business. It's just us, in our home offices. We don't rent an office yet. We're just in our homes, typing away on our laptops all day. So for that type of business, what do you think it costs to get started?
Including all the legal fees, I would say like 25,000.
Anybody else? We could play like Prices Right rules. Somebody bid $1. Oh, come on, we're 25. You guys think it's higher or lower? For a little home-based business.
Lower.
Okay. Hey, come on, any guess? A little lower.
6,000.
Okay, 8,500. You guys want to know the breakdown? Okay, so the 8,500. The caveat to all of this is the biggest cost really is the opportunity cost. So if I kept working at the old company, what my salary would have been, right? I forgo all that. I was really lucky because I was able to get under my husband's health insurance, because otherwise I wouldn't have health insurance. So hopefully most of you guys could stay on maybe on your parents' health insurance or some other health insurance if you decided to do your own business. So that's a big expense that you have to think about. So our total startup cost was about $8,500. So the number one most expensive cost was a graphic designer. We're non-technical people. I don't know how to use Squarespace or WordPress. Some people are laughing. Probably you guys all know how to do website stuff better than me and wouldn't have that expense. But we're stodgy, financial consultants and not savvy web designers. So that was our number one single, biggest check that we had to write. Okay, so you're a business, right? You need a checking account. They don't just give that to you for free. You have to put an initial deposit in there. And it's your money, right? But you have to write the bank a check, and they're holding it in there as your initial deposit. So that was $1,500 I had to write a check for. The next biggest, $1,200 in insurance annually. So that's that general liability insurance that I was talking to you guys about. That doesn't even include car insurance. So government is really stodgy about car insurance. They want $1 million of commercial auto coverage, which is way beyond what I would normally, buy just as an individual. So that doesn't even include all of that. So that's going to be extra expense. My business partner had a computer, I did not have a computer. So I had a really old desktop at my house. When I quit my job, I had to turn in my work laptop, and now I'm out of a computer, right? So I had to buy a new computer, so that was $1,000. So we're an LLC, I had to pay $800 a year to file with the state of California, to be in good standing. Okay, LegalZoom. So remember how I was talking to you about my lawyer? My lawyer helped get this question set up, and he said, you know what, I don't really want to do all the paperwork to file with the state of California, hire LegalZoom. You go on the web, it's done in like 15 minutes. It's so easy. They do all the work. They send you a binder at the end with your official LLC stamp that you can stamp things, official documents, and they do all the work for you. So that was $750. So I highly recommend that. It worked out really well for us. Makes a lot of guesswork kind of go away. Do I need this form or that form or whatever? Our regular lawyer to do this kind of stuff in our operating agreement was $600. The P.O. box, I know we're back on the P.O. box. Surprisingly expensive, $350 a year for a P.O. box. Just to collect mail, right, and have an address to put on my documents. And then a few $100s for software. So we're a pretty traditional business, you know, Microsoft Office, Adobe, kind of boring stuff. Yeah. So we have about 15 minutes left, and I do want to have plenty of time for questions. I thought I'd, oh, yes.
When you decided on your company name, how did you go about protecting it? Did you file a trademark or that name belongs to your company? Can anyone else use it in it?
We did file a fictitious business name
Mm-hmm.
with the county, and we had to have it published in the newspaper. And I just Googled it, like, fictitious business name filing. And like, there's services that do it for you. Oh, everything I Google, and then kind of run it by the lawyer as well. Is this how we do this? Yeah, go ahead. So that's a good question, yeah. Yes, sir.
I assume you're not the only consulting company that has clients in local government. So I was wondering, what do you think sets you apart, like compared to your other competitors, and like why would the local government choose you? You think, other than other people?
Yeah, that's my biggest challenge, right? I've had a few that said, yeah, we got your proposal and you're probably fine, but you're a new company and I don't want to take the risk. You read my references. So having good references, so I called up a bunch of agencies I had worked with before and said, hey, can I list you as a reference? And they're like, yes. So that helped a lot. We had problems with our resumes at first. Some initial proposals and marketing documents we were sending out, we did a one-page resume. Our name, education, kind of work history, and then it said representative assignments. And I listed like 5. And I thought people knew that representative assignments meant a small subsection of all the history, all my work that I had done. People did not get that, and they said, oh, you only ever did 5 assignments in your 10 years of work history. That's why the word representative was there. So it is this like fine-tuning our proposal and our bid documents, what people get and what they're expecting. And then just like, marketing too, having that personal connection with potential clients. But yeah, just kind of feeding off my reputation in the field already was probably kind of the biggest way to get new clients and kind of overcome, that stigma of being a new company.
Since you're saying a lot of the stuff you have to do is like you're advising, so you have to prove like that you're a source, I guess, advising. What I'm getting at is like a lot of times you have to do all these like business cosmetics to showcase your like authority in the field or whatever. I was just wondering the challenges associated with not having like an office to work out of, because a lot of times you can have like a meeting in your office and then it looks like all official, but just the nature of having to work out of your home, like how you go about still representing your authority to your clients.
Oh, sure. Yeah, are we legitimate if we're just a home business? Sure. I worked for, other companies, and none of them had clients come to their office. Never happened. We would always go to them. So I'm like, My home office can be as messy as I want because no one's ever going to be here. And clients like to go out to lunch too. So I've definitely done that a few times. We're like, yeah, let's get together, out in the Bay Area where you are. I'm like, let's meet for lunch instead. And you don't need to come to my office. We'll just meet at, the steakhouse and spread our documents out and chat there. They like that.
Along that line, how many of your clients, what percentage of your clients do you think know what you work from home, even know that you work from home?
I think they all know now. Like they kind of ask me, like, "Oh, you quit. What happened? How's that working out?" And
Have you ever gone to a job where like they didn't even know what your office looked like if you had one at all?
Yeah,
Something like that?
we've had a few. Yeah, most of our work has been referrals of clients I've worked with before. We have bid a few that were just totally cold. We never worked for them. We saw the advertisement, we applied and got the job. So they kind of know about that. But, I mean, it's consulting. You're just on your computer. Was there a question? Yeah.
How many consulting projects do you tend to do like a year or after?
That's a good question. I'm working on about 5 projects right now. And that kind of goes along with what I was saying where the timelines are so stretched out. So I'll work on something really intently and then it'll kind of drop off and nothing will happen for a while. So that kind of the variability, that's why we're able to handle more projects all at once. I don't think you asked.
I've not.
Okay.
What's the benefit of splitting the company with someone if you basically pay yourself for your own clients and work out of your own house?
It's a moral boost. I didn't want to go it alone. And we do get asked a lot, so maybe it's a client that I work for, they go, well, what happens if you're on vacation? Or, if you would take sick leave or whatever, and they go, she's the backup. We can kind of look to each other. It's really a moral boost. I call her all the time, hey, I'm thinking about doing this and going for this client. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I talked to them a while back, and just having someone there for you is a big moral boost for me.
Do you guys work on your projects together, or are they always separate?
Mostly separate. We do help each other. So like we always assign one person as a project manager who does most of the work, and then the other person is the helper. And it's just, are you busy? Oh, I'm too busy. Can you help with this? Or I didn't quite know how to do that part of it. Can you help me?
So if the company expands and if you want to have employees, so how would the pay go then?
Yeah.
Because then the employees will be getting the stuff, right?
Yeah, so under the LLC in our operating agreement, the way we decided to do things was we get partnership disbursements. So it's not necessarily a salary. So we pay ourselves as we get paid, and it could vary month to month depending on how busy we are. But if we have an employee, that person needs to get paid consistently.
Yeah.
So we probably go back to our lawyer and talk about that operating agreement and how we then structure the
So you
salary.
change it.
Or add to, I don't know, yeah, I'm worried about that, that's a big worry I have, yeah. How will, and then we don't have an office, so is that employee also working from home, or do we need to get an office at that point? I don't
Well, my
know.
aunt, she has a similar thing, and yeah, her employees work at home.
So it works out?
Yeah.
Given the nature of what you're talking about your job in the beginning, about how like your example of different fees, sometimes the public might not want to raise that fee, and maybe if something goes wrong you get sued, so you have higher insurance costs. What really drew you to the government consulting if there's a lot of areas that could maybe be more challenging for you to consult in than other industries?
Well, that's a good question, yeah. I've always kind of been an environmental science sort of person. I lived in the co-ops here in Berkeley. I interned at the Rainforest Action Network. So kind of very traditional business was maybe not my thing. So it's kind of a personal choice. And I kind of like working with communities too, because it's water and sewer. These things are improving the environment. So it is challenging that people yell at you and you kind of have to try and explain complicated things and maybe they don't understand. But I kind of like working with communities rather than other businesses that are just trying to earn a dollar.
Yeah, how have you used what you've learned in CNR in your project? So what's another example of a project you've worked on?
So, that example was water, but I think sewer is an even bigger environmental issue. So the pollutant, concentration of wastewater, I learned that in school. What is total suspended solids? What is biochemical oxygen demand? So some of those basic building blocks of what is water pollution, how's it taken care of, and then, the ESPM classes, environmental science, policy management. So then how do local governments then deal with environmental issues? Do they look at economic factors, environmental factors, social and community factors? Like a lot of those frameworks are built into these studies. Yeah.
Were there any instances in your career where your relationship with your partner became strained, just through work or anything?
I thought somebody might ask that, and I was trying to think of an example, and I couldn't. Maybe we're still too young in our business. Maybe we haven't had any major conflicts yet. And so part of the reason I wanted to go into business with her is because we had been working together for 7 years as peers, under a different company. So she knows how I work. I know how she works. So we haven't really had any big conflicts yet.
How did you go from like CNR and all that to becoming like a financial consultant?
Sure. Yeah, how do you go environmental science to, good question. So I did CNR and then I went to Columbia for an MPA. Does anyone know what an MPA is? So we know MBA, right? Master's of Business Administration. And PA is Public Administration. So it's kind of a parallel track to the MBA, but it's for folks who want to work in local government, or any kind of government really, or nonprofit work. And those classes, it was the same as ESPM. It was some science, some finance, and economics, management, government, that kind of stuff. And I just kind of enjoyed the finance and economics side of it a little more. And when I graduated, I just kind of looked for any job I would qualify for, and that's kind of where I got put, where I found a job. So.
When you talk about how you like working with communities and so the difficulties communicating with the public, I was wondering if there are any ways in which you actively try to communicate with the public that you're impacting through your work, or if there's any particular example of something that worked.
Yeah. So it is government, so there's a pretty extensive public noticing your policies. So usually we have to do an introductory work session with City Council. So that's put in their agenda and put out to the community ahead of time. And then we do more formal presentations when it's going to be adopted. And so it's a little bit like the community can come to the meeting if they want, which isn't great because you only get the people who are super angry or super happy. You don't get a lot of people in between that you just have questions. So that is a weakness of kind of this rate setting process and kind of the local government city council process is it doesn't engage as much as it should. So I did the sewer rates for City of Berkeley. And in that study, we went to, Berkeley has a Public Utilities Commission meeting, so I went to that. They have a finance committee, I presented at that, and then we had our presentations to City Council, so I did that. And we had to send out a mailer to all property owners within the City of Berkeley telling them that their rates are going up. But it's not very collaborative. I kind of feel that way. That's not.
Do you think it should be more collaborative?
I think so. And some agencies have citizen advisory commissions, and they designate ambassadors from the community to come and talk to City Council. But again, you only get the people who are really angry or really happy about what's happening. So yeah, I think it would be good in the future, if there were better methods to engage the community on utilities. Yeah.
So the government is elected, right? So the people keep on changing, right? So that kind of makes the business thing unstable, doesn't it?
Yeah. Sort of. It is challenging. I'll get to know a city manager and I'll work with him for a while, and then he'll retire or he'll get fired or he'll go somewhere else. Or a city council says no more rate increases. Our constituents hate that, and then you're like, well, what was all this work for? The good thing is this consulting for utility rates and fees, they have to do studies every 5 years. They have to. So there's always this built-in work. So I even kind of look at clients I worked for about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years, and call them up, hey, did you know that your rate study is almost at the end? Can you start talking about the next one?
How much of your time, since like it's just you and your partner, how much of your time do you actually get to spend on the consulting work, and how much do you have to be spending on making sure all your accounting's good, like legal services, talking to the people that you have do those assignments, just doing general management and administrative work? Like, I was just wondering, like, you don't have, obviously not like a breakdown, but like just like a general sense.
So in consulting, I've always heard that it's called your billable ratio, how much time you're spending billing to clients on their projects versus how much is admin and overhead. I've always heard it's 75, 25. So 75% of your time should be billable to your clients, and 25% should be management. That's what I try to use. We're new, right? So we're trying to figure out like QuickBooks. I had to fill out a invoice template. You know, no one told me how to do that. I had to figure it out. So we did have a little bit more overhead in the beginning.
We have time for one more question. Anyone has any? All right. Well, thank you so much. If you just sign the sign-in sheet, it's right there. Make sure you sign it. And see you again.
Oh, I won the first one. Oh.